Are you ready for adventure, for danger, for death?
Can you repeat the question?
Just get on with it!
Welcome everyone to the Omniverse of Nick and part 6 to What If Cliffjumper Survived. But before we get into this episode, be sure as always to smash that like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, because as you can see, we got more perks and more add-ons to the ever-growing channel of the Omniverse of Nick. So you do not want to miss anything that comes this way, story-wise and so on. So once you do those two things, we can head right on into this episode of Cliff's story. Last time we left off, Optimus and Megatron were in their second battle at the volcano where Unicron is bound to erupt and awaken. But everything changes from canon in this fight when Optimus blinds Megatron like he did and starts taking the advantage. Once he does that, and Megatron catches his blade and the Dark Energon and his own combat strategies empower him, Optimus doesn't get his blade broken or get caught off guard. Ratchet's death has made him just like, if not near, his live-action self, where he is now more consumed by rage and more bound to kill Megatron, especially here. So once Megatron catches the blade, Optimus just switches it to a blaster and then shoots Megatron repeatedly in the face, blinding him again even worse. But the Dark Energon continues to empower Megatron, and this helps him along with his own combat strategies and Optimus falling to the level of Dark Energon being exposed to him, and eventually Megatron takes the battle to him. But Bulk, Cliffjumper, and the rest of the bots manage to save Optimus, and Megatron, even if the Dark Energon empowered him, he still did take a lot more damage than in canon because of Optimus's bloodlust. But anyways, they recover, and Unicron eventually awakens, with the bots, all of it going up to canon until giant Unicron comes into the surface. And Cliff is there to see, like, hey, we're about to fight a giant god, pretty much. And that's just a small thing with Cliff involvement with that fight. But then Megatron saves them, or more specifically, Optimus. And Optimus isn't so much like wanting the help, especially after what happened. And Megatron's even more skeptical to say what he's about to say, since he was much more closer to dying than he was in canon. But he still offers his alliance with the bots to go against Unicron. But Cliff, along with everyone else, is instantly against it because of their recent loss with Ratchet and what just happened and everything. Optimus especially with his involvement, and even if it wasn't Megatron. And he doesn't say this specifically, but he tells Megatron that there's no way any of them will trust Megatron. Megatron is like, he understands, but he feels like the bots are hiding something specifically. And one of those energy readings that the cons had picked up, he asks about this and why it's like this. And Megatron then hears the story. And Megatron says, well, he doesn't care any about the death of the bot Ratchet. He does know that he was a fond friend of Optimus back in his days of being Orion Pax, or his old self, or old friend, whatever Megatron would say. And says more specifically, they need to work together to take down Unicron. After that, he doesn't care what happens. And so, the bots go back to base while Megatron stalls Unicron. At the base, Optimus tells the bots and Fowler that even though it's very against his judgment, he really doesn't want to do it, and he really doesn't want to trust Megatron, and he really was hoping that he had terminated him at the volcano. Megatron's right. For one thing, Megatron wasn't involved with Ratchet's death. Starscream was a subordinate, but even he stirred away from Megatron, and he's not there. And they need his help to take down Unicron. So, they have to go along with Megatron, even if it's against all their judgment. Then, Optimus sees Cliff in the corner after some time of talking with the bots. Optimus goes over, and he says he needs to speak with him. Cliff, he's a bit surprised by this, because him and Optimus, they don't really have any conversations. And him going to him directly? I mean, Cliff is one of Optimus's best warriors and everything, but this is just really suspicious. But then Optimus hands him something and says, Cliff, you know what this is. The key to Vector Sigma. Because, I'll mention more on it in a minute, Optimus says he's giving this to him because not only has Cliff showed how loyal and fierce he is to being one of the best Autobots on their team, but they owe him a lot for keeping Starscream at bay and keeping the team in line and himself, especially since Ratchet died. And he feels that not only is this a great, important device to give and entrust to him, but it's also a memoir to Ratchet and everyone they've lost. And it's right that Cliffjumper has it. So, Cliffjumper is officially given the key to Vector Sigma, in which I'll mention more on in a minute why Optimus said to Cliff, you know what it is. Megatron is sent to the base, which is the new one, by the way, because of the scraplets. They go to Unicron's core, fight off the antibodies with Cliff's help. But ultimately, as canon, Optimus expels the Matrix into Unicron's spark, putting him in stasis, and turning to Orion Pax with Megatron by his side. Cliff goes to try and get Optimus back and combat Megatron, but Megatron just shoots him away and just like shooting him away. Shoot, or shoot, it really doesn't matter. That's weird to say. Bumblebee, Bulk, and RC try to fight Megatron while Orion, Optimus, is about to go into the portal, the ground bridge. But Cliff, he goes to try and get Optimus, but Megatron, he just unsheaths his blade and cuts off one of Cliff's tires attached to his arm, and now Cliff has to literally tend to his wound, and they all return to base. Fowler wants to know what happens when he bridges them back, and where is Optimus? But RC, Bulkhead, and Bumblebee, they just are like, they don't know. He didn't recognize any of them, didn't know his own name, and Cliff even tried the most to get him back. And they couldn't. He just left with Megatron. But Cliff says maybe the reason why he didn't know who they were is because he reverted back to his old self. Fowler and the bots want to know immediately how Cliff could insinuate this or how he knows this. Then, Cliff demonstrates them all with something very surprising. The key to Vector Sigma entrusted by Optimus, and also the backstory of Megatron and Optimus, and Ratchet's involvement with it also. Now, I know what all of you Transformers Primes and fans and everything are thinking. How, what, and why would Cliff know about Orion Pax? Well, you see, Ratchet and several others were around Orion Pax, including Transformers Prime. But in the original G1 and other Transformers shows and mangas, it showed that not only were Ratchet, Megatron, and several others around Optimus when he was Orion, but Cliff was too. So I merely took the liberties of incorporating that into the fact that Cliff would know and have been around Orion in this time too. So consider it creative liberties and the fact that we never knew about it, so we're allowed even more creative liberties. And Cliff said that he was entrusted this to bring back Optimus. And if they can't get him back from the Khan's warship, they need to find a way to access this on Cybertron and get Optimus to the way he was before. RC is really proud of her partner, and not knowing about this, sure, she's mad at him a little bit, but this is great. They can not only bring back Optimus, but Cliff's like an honorary prime, and he knew about who Optimus was back then. And it's sad that Ratchet couldn't be here. He would be really proud too. But Fowler says getting Prime back is going to be not a walk in the park, and they gotta wait and just see what happens, especially with Starscream on the loose as well. So for now, they just wait. Meanwhile, Orion, Optimus, is on Megatron's ship, convinced that it's Megatronus and, being a Decepticon. Meanwhile, Starscream is finally ready to take action after Unicron is sealed and hearing and seeing and reading about what happened. What will him and his clones do with synthetic energon? How will this impact the bots and cons? And how will Cliff get Optimus to the way he was with him being entrusted the key to Vector Sigma? And how will that impact the rest of the story with Cliff being an honorary prime?
Why am I asking you all these questions?
Find out in the next episode on the Omniverse of Nick. You guys didn't think this was the end of the video, did you? Well, the Omniverse of Nick has a new feature. A sneak peek at what's next to arrive.